Yo, what's good, gamers? My name is Dr. Ryan Terao. Happy Thursday. I think today is Thursday. If it's not Thursday, it's Thursday now. So what's good? Happy Thursday. Welcome to class, baby. Last night, last day, last afternoon was not an ideal day of gaming for I. It was not good. Started in gold, slid back to gold 4, but we did not slide all the way back to gold 5, so we are chilling. And that got me thinking. That got me thinking about cognitive load. What is cognitive load? Well, basically cognitive load, if you kind of think about it, is kind of like RAM in your computer. It's how many programs you can hold in your mind at one time and still operate efficiently. And everything you think about or don't think about consciously or subconsciously takes up cognitive load. Yeah, I know, it's a trip. How can you prevent space from going to things that you don't think about? Well, I mean, it happens all the time to your computer. I mean, you're running programs in the background and you're thinking about other things, of course, either subconsciously. It takes energy, I don't know, to keep your heart beating, to keep breathing, to keep your guts going. That's definitely something your body is doing 24/7. That all takes cognitive load. Other things that are happening around your life, like school, can take up cognitive load. Your friends can take up cognitive load. Your work could take up cognitive load. Good things take up cognitive load. Bad things take up cognitive load. Everything takes cognitive load. The question then becomes, why is this so important? Well, the more space that you have, free and available for you to think and utilize, think about or think with or whatever, to utilize in conclusion, the better and more efficient you can be at that task at hand. For example, how many times have you gone into a class or a game and you're thinking about other things? You're thinking about lunch because you're hungry. You're thinking about that person. You're thinking about how well or poorly you did on that test. You're thinking about all those other things, and then you go into the class and you come out an hour and a half later and you're like, I don't think I learned anything, because you're still thinking about all those other things that were preoccupying your mind. What does that mean? Well, that basically means that your cognitive load was overrun, and instead of focusing on the things that you need to be focusing on, your cognitive load shifted you somewhere else, and now you're distracted and focusing on that other thing. Why do I want to talk about this and games? Well, honestly, games take a lot of your cognitive load. Think of all the things that you need to manage in your game. Let's start with basics. Management of my character, managing my hero, spacing, tethering, kiting, cooldowns, abilities. Am I going through this fight? Do I have my cooldowns? Is my health enough? Is my mana pool big? Am I strong enough to take this fight? All of these things I'm thinking about even before I get to that objective or even before I get to that fight. That takes planning and, again, cognitive load. On top of that is the mini-map, and constantly looking at the mini-map to make sure that, am I going to get dove? Can I catch this wave safely? Is it a good time to push? Should I be doing other things? And what happens when I don't look at the mini-map? Oftentimes, I'm not going to have a good time. Also, for me, I can tell when I'm getting tired, when I'm not looking at the mini-map, or I'm just mindlessly trying to catch every wave I can instead of looking for the best wave to catch. All of these things take space and require you to balance all of these things. Thinking about how to take a fight even, what targets you should be prioritizing, where you should be positioning, all of these things take cognitive load. How can we become more efficient at managing it? Well, we need to learn. And why I think learning is so important, and all of these things that I talk about always come back down to learning. It's because fundamentally, how we can become more efficient at utilizing our cognitive load, as well as simply being better at understanding and learning things in bigger chunks of information. What is chunking? Basically, chunking in is your ability to take a chunk of information, understand it, put it into your brain, and then use it again. You can digest big pieces of information by chunking into smaller, more manageable pieces. The example that I use all the time for chunking is kind of like when you learned math. When you first learned math, you didn't learn calculus, you didn't learn geometry, you didn't learn any of those things. What did you learn? You learned 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3. And this is millennial math. I'm sorry, I did not attend school as a Gen Zer. Gen Z learns math a whole different way than I learned math. My wife's brother tried to show me his math homework and how to do math. And I was looking at him like, dude, you're doing this wrong. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, no. See, this is how you do math. And he's like, yeah, that's not how they're teaching us in school. So you have to add it to tens first. I'm like, add to tens? What? Add to tens. Oh, the ABC song, Better Looking Right, is dope. I wish I had that ABC song and they dropped that beat. I definitely would have learned it a lot more fast. But like, that was so crazy, learning his math and understanding how he was learning math and how Do-Hyun is learning math. Is like, this doesn't make any sense. Going back to math, they taught you 1 plus 1, or back in the day, taught us 1 plus 1. And then after we became like really efficient at all the 1 plus 1s, chunked. Then they gave us the 2s. 2 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 3. And then you chunk that information, and now we know 1 plus 1 and the 2s, and then we could chunk those things together too. And so these smaller chunks of information, you can chunk them together to make bigger chunks of information. And the more efficient you can be at packing in more information in bigger chunks, the more efficient you can be in learning. That's all it is. That's really how the whole chunking thing works. And why is that important? Well, you do the same thing in your games. Any game. For example, chunking of kiting. If you can understand the basic dynamics of kiting or stutter stepping or tethering, all these concepts of keeping your character close to the other character without getting beaten up too much, these concepts, it's easier for you to understand. And then when you see it on the Rift or the Nexus or whatever, it's easier for you to execute. So for example, the chunking of the concept of kiting. So you're just moving back and forth, and you're trying to hit things and go back and not get hit, right? You're hitting things, not get hit. Once you understand this concept of kiting, say like a minion or like a camp, you can use that information to now apply it to a champion or a hero. So you can kite and be aware of where they are in time and space because you chunked that information on either a practice dummy, a camp, something that's not so high risk, and now you're applying it somewhere else. And now you've chunked that information and understand that knowledge of the concept of kiting, and you can apply it to other places and then apply it to other things like, oh, okay, now I know how to kite a bruiser camp. Now I know how to kite a siege camp. Now I know how to kite Vala. Now I know how to kite Varian. And each of these pieces of information are smaller chunks of information that goes to the bigger concept that is kiting. So that's a chunk. The reason why this is important for cognitive load is the more efficient that we can become at chunking information or learning information in smaller chunks and then integrating them into bigger chunks, the more free you'll be to be creative, to be more abstract, to apply these concepts. Because again, what we're talking about, my friends, is we're talking about learning. And if there's anything that I know as a psychologist and learning is, let's become more efficient in managing what is going on in your head, managing your cognitive load, being more intentional and aware of where your thoughts are going, how you're using your brain, and how we can replicate what you are learning into not only this game, but all your future games. And I think that's something that I'm learning too. During this whole season climb, I think I started like maybe a week or two in. So over the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, last month, these are things that I'm learning and seeing it from a different lens as a psychologist, applying it to gaming. Something else that really gets in the way of your cognitive load or any of these things is tilt. And I gotta tell you, I'll show you my rank today, and that is exactly what happened to me yesterday, and that's why I'm presenting it to you. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes about what happens when your cognitive load is too heavy and you start becoming fatigued trying to manage all the things you're trying to manage in your brain, which decreases performance, which decreases your rank, which looks like this. Oh no, it's gone. Exactly, it looks like this. It looks all black and it's all bad. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It looks like this. It looks like gold 4. It looks like gold 4, and that's where we are. But hey, it doesn't matter where you are. It matters where you're going and the process of getting there. But I guess for all of you, I'm wondering, have you thought of the game using your cognitive load, or how do you manage what you're thinking about in the game? How conscious are you of what you are thinking about in the game? Is that something you're consciously actively doing, or are you just thinking about playing the game? Today's wait time is not that bad. It's only 208 seconds. Not bad at all. I think the wait time is good though. I think waiting between games and really collecting yourself and really thinking about what you did, or maybe even that 5-minute break gives you some time to de-tilt. You ever find yourself going, and then queuing up really like queue, and he's like, fine, whatever, next game. You ever find yourself doing that? If you do find yourself doing that, that is a key or an indicator that your cognitive load may be a little overwhelmed right now, and maybe you should take some time. This is coming from the hypocrite myself, and the reason I'm giving you this tip is because that's what I found myself doing yesterday. That was bullshit. Click. Another loss. Don't do it. Thanks for coming in, hanging out with me, showing me some love on this Thursday, and I'll see everyone tomorrow, 10 a.m. MST to about 1 p.m. MST. I'll be back. We can talk stories. We can hang out. But until then, my name is Dr. Ryan Terao, your PsychSensei, teaching how to think, play, and slay, baby. One game, one dub, one cognitive load at a time. Now that I said it out loud, cognitive load. Anyway, Ugh. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, friends? Mwah. Big kisses. Peace. Bye.